Jordan, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken for minibus explosion, killing 5. From Turkey, President Erdogan names party's candidates for nationwide elections. From United States, Blinken says Palestinians must not be pressured into leaving Gaza. From Australia, government effects laws banning Nazi salute. Kenya is facing a backlash over the visa-free entry policy introduced for all foreigners this month, with some terming it hectic. President William Ruto announced the policy last month to advocate for a visa-free travel within the African continent. Kenyan authorities have since clarified that while the country grants visa-free entry, visitors need to apply for electronic travel authorization by submitting documentation and paying a $30 processing fee. The requirement also applies to countries whose citizens previously had unrestricted access to Kenya. By Sunday, Kenya had received more than 9,000 visa applications through the digital platform, authorities said. But some foreigners are now criticizing the government, saying that the new policy has created confusion and made travel to Kenya tougher and costlier. Dear Africans, Kenya is not telling the world the truth when it says that it is now visa-free. It is not. It has in fact made traveling there more difficult for Africans who didn't need a visa before, prominent Zimbabwean journalist Hopewell Chinono said on X. So until 24 hours ago, as a Malawian, I could just wake up, buy a ticket and fly to Kenya in the afternoon, visa-free. Now Kenya has removed visa for everyone visiting Kenya, but now everyone has to pay $30 travel authorization fees. Hectic, Malawian entrepreneur Jose Ntakira said on X. Some Kenyans have voiced fears that the tougher restrictions could trigger a boycott by some foreigners or that other countries could impose reciprocal restrictions. South Africa wicketkeeper batter Heinrich Klaasen has retired from red ball cricket despite the country's test coach Shukri Conrad suggesting he would form part of his plans in 2024. Powerful middle-order hitter Klaasen has become a mainstay of the South African white ball side, with his record breaking 174 from 83 balls against Australia in a one-day international in September, underlining his ability. He played 4 tests between 2019 and 2023, managing 108 runs at an average of 13.00, but was set to run to the team this year, according to Conrad, with current wicketkeeper Kyle Verreynne failing to impress. After a few sleepless nights wondering if I am making the right decision, I have decided to retire from red ball cricket. It is a difficult decision that I have made because it is by far my favorite format of the game, Klaasen said in a statement on Monday. But for now, a new challenge awaits and I'm looking forward to it. The 32-year-old has not elaborated on what that challenge might be, but with confirmed stints coming up in SA20, Indian Premier League, the 100 and Major League Cricket in the United States, it appears he will feature prominently in the global leagues in the shortest format. Cricket South Africa's Director of Cricket Enoch Nkwe confirmed Klaasen was still part of their white ball plans. We look forward to seeing him excel in the white ball arena and continue to make valuable contributions to South African cricket in the years ahead, he said. South Africa recently lost opener Dean Elgar to test retirement, while others who have prematurely given up first-class cricket to focus on the T20 circuit include Quinton de Kock, A.B. de Villiers, Faf du Plessis and David Miller. Israel has denounced South Africa's legal action at the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel of genocide, that it was intentionally killing thousands of Palestinian civilians, which the ICJ is expected to start hearing on Thursday, a blood libel. Jewish organizations in South Africa accuse the ruling African National Congress of siding with terrorism and anti-Semitism, but South Africa's lawsuit seeking to halt to the Israeli assault on Gaza in response to the Hamas cross-border attack in October comes after years of deteriorating relations rooted in the ANC's decades-long support for the Palestinian cause and the legacy of Israel's close military alliance with the apartheid regime during some of the most oppressive years of white rule. South Africa's Chief Rabbi Warren Goldstein responded to the ICJ filing by accusing the ANC government of acting as Iran's ally and proxy in the Islamic State's plan to destroy the Jewish state and of supporting Iranian proxy Hamas in its war crimes. South Africa's Jewish Board of Deputies joined the criticism, accusing the government of continuing to humiliate itself in the international arena and saying it had no shame in using international court for political purposes. The board's critics have responded by accusing it of acting as a proxy for Israel. Andrew Feinstein, a Jewish former ANC member of parliament, said the criticisms will have little traction inside the country. The chief rabbi and the Jewish Board of Deputies have never criticized anything Israel has done for as long as I can remember. It is worth reminding oneself that the organized Jewish community in South Africa found it extraordinarily difficult to criticize apartheid until the mid-1980s, so we are not talking about people speaking from a position of moral integrity here, he said. Production at Libya's largest oil field was suspended Sunday, the country's state-run oil company said, after protesters forced the facility to close over fuel shortages. The National Oil Corp declared force majeure at Sharara oil field in the country's south starting Sunday. Force majeure is a legal maneuver that releases a company of its contractual obligations because of extraordinary circumstances. The company said in a statement that the closure of the field forced the suspension of crude oil supplies to the west of 300,000 barrels per day. The company said negotiations with the protesters were underway to resume production as soon as possible. Local media reported that residents of the desert town of Ubari, about 950 kilometers south of the capital Tripoli, shut down the field to protest fuel shortages. The protesters also called for rehabilitating infrastructure and